cheers. Thought I'd have a beer for a treat, you know. Somebody said on the comment that I look stressed out. I do feel very stressed out. Probably for other reasons, but I'm just going to ramble here. It doesn't matter, does it? I'm hesitating to call it a case because it all just, everyone's talking about cases. And I understand, what else can you call it, but it's about someone's life, isn't it? There's people on Twitter and on here and Facebook and IRL, as they say, that you can sense it in them when they say it, that they're filled with a kind of a horror about this situation with this case. There's something, there's a massively instinctive response here. It's not scientific or whatever that means, but it's not anything you can necessarily bring into the forum of a court to prove, but it's an instinct. And I was thinking, what other quote-unquote case can you remember when, just after the verdict, there's such a range of disquiet and concern and stress actually in people, and they want to convey it, and they want to say, hold on a minute, where's the hard evidence? It's being based on something which could have a whole other range of possibilities to it, and people are working on those now, and they're strategizing. I'm hoping that it all feeds into the appeal as and when it comes. It's got to. If it doesn't, then there's no point in doing. I don't know if I said that on the last video. There's no point in getting groups of quote-unquote experts together if you're not going to feed it into, and it's not accessible to, or made accessible to the new defence team or the old one to do it again. I'd hope it was a new one. But if it's not made accessible to them, and more than that, if they don't want it, or they said, oh well, yeah, it sounds good, but we can't use it in this system. It's not going to be effective in this judicial system, under these particular processes. It's not going to work. It could be true, and it could be really, talking to somebody in the street or down the pub, or yeah, you'd get it, and you think, yeah, that's logical. That shows a bit of potential for beyond reasonable doubt, but it's not going to work here because of X, Y, Z. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's going back to that thing. What other situation can you remember when there's been such this extent of expressed doubt about it? And that's in resistance to people, that anyone who's asked questions about it, even the most mildest questions, can we be sure? Even that, they're getting sort of, maybe attacked is just, well, they're being insulted, in some ways they're being called, oh, you're protecting a murderer, you love the murderer, is it all this kind of weird stuff, all the regular crap you'd get. But they're doing it nonetheless, and people are saying and doing it nonetheless. Not many people in the public eye, and that's why part of the reason of doing these videos and doing stuff on Twitter is to send, trying to do that, and other people are trying to do that. Send just for example, the Norman Fenton and Dr. Scott McLachlan video, just as an opening, and it's a very strong opening, isn't it? To just planting potentially a huge number of seeds of doubt. I don't know. As a side note, I'm hoping that, as he said he would, or that he was hoping to or might do, Peter Hyatt, the US-based statement analyst, where I think statement analysis is treated quite with more seriousness over there, and I believe it's he's performed a role in different cases and in court settings, I believe. And I'm hoping that he said he would be in touch, or is in touch, with a group of UK-based statement analysts who have done the training. And to look at the green note, the yellow note to the triplets, that sadly passed away, other notes from the pen of Lucy Letby, and also, but I asked him as well, could you, I don't know, well, he does actually follow me on the Twitter. I was quite surprised and chuffed by that, but only because then I could then privately message him, which with things, which I did, and I said, well, could you also look at some of the interviews with the consultants, the TV interviews, when they're recollecting what happened in a particular instance. I won't. I'm going to try not to say the names of them that much anymore, because you all know who I'm talking about. To look at that, and to look at, I'd love him to look at this interview I watched. I hate watching mainstream media, but sometimes you've got to do it, haven't you? To see what games they're trying to play. But Talk TV did the 14-15 minute interview or piece segment with Dewey Evans, and I want to go through that in detail as to his responses. I just, in my head, the way he was phrasing these answers, it was like red flag after red flag. I'll hopefully do a video about it, or some tweets about it. It's just really putting these quotes out there and just making people think, well, that's a bit odd, saying it like that, putting it like that. There's kind of buried admissions in there, i.e. that he's saying he's impartial, he's got to have a quote-unquote clinical approach to it, but there's sort of, you can miss them very, very easily. I'm not saying it's just that I was looking out for it. I know we can have confirmation bias on both sides, Should there be sides? No, there should be an impartial seeking after truth, but as in the court, it sort of becomes this adversarial situation, and it should just be, I don't know, I'm running out of steam. I'm just really hoping, there's going to be, hear the news that there's going to be an appeal. I'm hoping there's a new legal team working on all this very, very hard, and hoping there are brilliant minds applied to it, and that are using all these other people that are coming forward and are wanting to help, who are not talking about somebody like, I'm not denigrating that, but I'm talking about people that, again, that could supply them with arguments that are very persuasive, and counter the arguments and the quote-unquote evidence from Dewey Evans in a convincing way. That's what they got to be armed with that. They got to be armed with that, and they can't accept that there was, as they seem to, if I've misunderstood it, but they can't accept, oh yes, somebody fiddled with those TPN bags, the feed bags, and put insulin in them, but it wasn't Lucy. They can't do that. That's disastrous. But I don't know the rules. Are there these arcane rules in which, when you have an appeal, that they can't change their line of defence to say, actually, we shouldn't have done that. Actually, we're going for the idea that there was no insulin put in those bags by anybody, and it's not a case of that it wasn't Lucy, it was someone else. It didn't happen. And there are other causes for the assertions that there was these higher levels of insulin, synthetic insulin, in the young babies. And the other side of this, which people do talk about as well, is if there haven't been any crimes, and I don't believe there have, it's about belief, I don't believe there have. If there haven't been any crimes, then that's a kind of manifest injustice to the parents, and a great wounding of them, that they will go on for the rest of their lives to believe, and all the family will believe, that their children were murdered or the victims of attempted murder. If that isn't the case, and that's allowed to stand, then they're victims of this as well, obviously, in that way, as well as being bereaved on top of that. And this has been added on to them if it isn't the case. And that's why I'm hoping this is going to build more and more, and more people will. But it's not just about speaking out. It's got to, as we're saying, it's got to be something you can use in a court, and with the right defence team that can make it effective. I put a tweet on Twitter, and I don't know if I'm right in saying this. I don't know what people would think. If there was an appeal and they achieved, in just one of the cases of murder, reasonable doubt, so that one individual case couldn't, the conviction was rolled back, and Lucy Letby wasn't guilty of that 1 out of 7. My instinct and hope would be that would cast doubt on all of them. If one goes, then all the other ones are weakened in terms of her being the instrument of causing the deaths. I wonder what people think about that. I mean, if there's a lawyer might be able to, build arguments about why that would be a logical thing to begin to argue. Put in a lot better way than I am, obviously, but it's just the instinct that if you need to just overturn one attack, or what one alleged, not alleged, where it's convicted now, is it? One attack, one on appeal, one attack, or one murder conviction. Because are they going to say, well, no, you're right, we were right, it was only 6 murders you did, but you didn't do that one. Or you did 5 and you didn't do 2, so you're still going to prison for life. But yeah, we overdid it a bit, but you still did 5. It would cast doubt on everything, wouldn't it? Especially if it's of a particular type. If it's of a type A to do with the insulin, or to do with the air embolism, because they're in groupings, aren't they? Based on what Dewey Evans said must have happened, and that's his assertion, that they must have happened. So if one is overturned, then all of that type would be overturned automatically, I would have hoped. That seems logical to me. I'm just interested to see what people might think of that. Anyway, take care.